I mean, if the title of this video isn't a giveaway, I am really starting to run out of ideas. In all seriousness though, on my last video where I ranked all the Mario Kart renders, I got a lot of comments that gave me some more silly ranking ideas, so I figured why not today take Luck0028's idea of ranking every standard cart in the Mario Kart series. I know, this is a goofy video, but you know what? I like doing these goofy videos, so you know what? Why not rank every standard cart in the Mario Kart series? With that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Christendo, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel as it helps me out a ton. Last video, we got a total of 27 new subscribers to the channel, so let's see if we can top that with this one. While you're at it, if you want to talk to me and others about all things Nintendo, consider joining the Chriscore Discord server. The link is down in the description. Now when it comes to what I considered a standard cart, it was honestly kind of all across the board because when it comes to the later Mario Kart games, so Mario Kart Double Dash and afterwards, there's like different carts I would consider standard, as in the carts that are unlocked from the get-go. So whatever carts are unlocked from the beginning of the game, I'm just going to consider them standard carts. So that means today we have 41 different carts to rank, which might sound like a lot, but a lot of them do come from those later games. So with that in mind, we might as well get started because we have a lot to talk about today. Let's start off with Super Mario Kart. When it comes to the Super Mario Kart one, and honestly, we might as well do Super Mario Kart 64, and Mario Kart Super Circuit together, because all these games basically have the same cart. They all have that traditional pipe frame cart that we've come to know and love in the Mario Kart series, so they're pretty basic. There's not really any variation between them. In the case of that, the pipe frame is a pretty classic cart, but especially when we come to compare to other standard carts that come later on in the series that I feel like are a bit more creative. These are a bit basic, but they're not a bad starting point. I'm going to put Super Mario Kart in the C tier, and then I'm going to put Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Super Circuit right behind it. If you're wondering why I have the same image for those two, it's because they literally use the same renders. So yeah, no, it's not that I accidentally put two of the same image on here, it's because they literally use the exact same cart. We got through the first 3 games pretty quickly, but things start to slow down a little bit here, as from now on, most games have more than one cart to talk about. And in the case of Mario Kart Double Dash, we have a total of 8. So I'm going to try to be quick about each of these carts because at the end of the day, they are just Mario Karts. I'm not going off of stats or anything, I'm literally just going off of how much I like how they look. So they're not going to be super in-depth if that's what you were looking for. But with that in mind, we got to start off with the Red Fire, which is Mario and Luigi's cart. This one, it looks decent. It's not like super crazy or anything. I like the design. It's definitely unique, which you're probably going to hear me say a lot. It doesn't really remind me of anything specifically, so because of that, it's not super iconic, but this is the cart in Mario Kart Double Dash. Like, I feel like that if you're using a standard cart in Mario Kart Double Dash, this is probably the one that you'll go to, or the one that you'll recognize the most. So because of it being semi-iconic when it comes to Mario Kart Double Dash and having a pretty nice design, I think this belongs in the B tier. Next up is the Heart Coach, which is Peach and Daisy's cart. The Heart Coach is kind of along the same lines as the Red Fire is, where it looks pretty nice. I think I do prefer the look of this one a little bit more. It has more of that royal aesthetic to it, which is obviously because this is the Peach and Daisy cart. So of course they're royalty in the Mushroom Kingdom or Sarasa Land, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I think I like how this one looks a little bit better. So because of that, I'm going to put this in the B tier above the Red Fire. Next up is the Turbo Yoshi, and honestly this one's just kind of funny. You're literally driving on a Yoshi as Yoshi and Birdo, and that's just pretty funny. This is like the only cart, well, there's a couple later on, but this is the only cart in Mario Kart Double Dash that has you driving as a character, so it has a little bit of charm because of that. And honestly, the color scheme of it's pretty nice. I like that you're driving as a Yoshi. It has some nice tires on there. I know I'm kind of stretching here in terms of what I'm talking about here, but overall, I think that this is an A tier cart. I don't think it's going to nearly be at the top of A tier. It's probably going to be more so in the middle to the end. The next cart is the Goo Goo Buggy, which obviously goes to Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, and stupid name aside, I really hate saying that name. This cart doesn't look too great in my opinion. Like, I know it's a baby stroller and they're leaning into that babies driving a cart kind of thing going on there, but I really don't like how this one looks. It just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to me. It might just be because of the weird shape to it, which I guess makes sense because it is a baby stroller. You have one of them driving in what is like the hood of the baby stroller, and the other one's in the back of it. The design of it's just not that great in my opinion. I've already been saying that a lot, so you know what? I'm gonna just stop saying the same things over and over again. I think that this goes in the D tier because I think I prefer the pipe frame carts, which are classic, over this baby stroller. I'm not going to say Goo Goo Buggy because I really hate saying that. It's so awkward to say, so the baby stroller goes in the D tier. The next cart is the Koopa Dasher, which obviously goes to Koopa and Paratroopa, and this one's another pretty neat one. It's a little bit more basic because it is just kind of that shell shape with it being a traditional cart behind it, but I do like how the shell looks. You have the logo of Koopa inside of where the shell would be, like, you know, that black spot where if you stomp on a Koopa, they go inside their shell and there's that black space that like would be where their head goes. That's where the Koopa icon is, and I kind of like that. It's a pretty neat way of doing that, but I think I do prefer, because I think that that just looks a little bit more pleasing, but this isn't a bad cart. I think that this belongs in the B tier behind the Red Fire. The DK Jumbo is next, which obviously goes to Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Rest in peace, Diddy Kong. He seems to not be returning in Mario Kart World. But anyways, this one's another pretty good one, where it takes the barrels from the Donkey Kong Country series and makes it into a cart. It looks kind of goofy, but I think that's kind of some of the charm to this one. But just like the Koopa Dasher, I think I like the Red Fire a bit more, which was Mario's cart, just because I think it looks a little bit more pleasing and it is pretty iconic when it comes to Mario Kart Double Dash. So, you know what? I'm going to put it between the Red Fire and the Koopa Dasher in the B tier. The next cart is the Koopa King, and honestly, I think that this is one of my favorite carts in Mario Kart Double Dash. This one looks great. It looks vastly different from the other ones, where it really shows off the royalty of Bowser and just how much of a badass he is. I really like the horns on it and the spiky tires. Definitely makes this one stand out a lot. Just aesthetically, this one looks, as I mentioned, badass. This one is great. I really like how it looks. It's probably one of the best looking carts in the entire series when it comes to these standard carts, as in like the carts that you unlock from the get-go. So because of that, honestly, I think that the Koopa King goes in the S tier. Along the same lines, the Wario car is also pretty great. I really like how this looks. I think that this originates from WarioWare. If not, it could have just been this game. But regardless of where it originates, this is a pretty iconic cart. I really like how it looks. I've already said that already about the Koopa King, but this one looks great as well. You know, it's kind of just a normal car. It's like a normal sports car, or I guess more of a like old-timey sports car, but not like super old-timey, if you get what I mean. But regardless, I think that the Wario car is great. I'm gonna put it in the A tier above the Turbo Yoshi because I just think that this one just looks better. But I wouldn't say it's along the same lines as the Koopa King. Moving on from Mario Kart Double Dash now, we have Mario Kart DS. Just like the last one, we have a good number of carts here. We're obviously going to start out with the standard cart of Mario Kart DS, which isn't bad. I think it's a pretty decent cart. I think that when we compare it to the different special carts in Mario Kart Double Dash, this one is a bit weaker because obviously it is a standard cart. It's not going to be anything too crazy. It's going to be pretty basic, but I think I prefer it over the pipe frame carts that were in the first 3 Mario Kart games. So I'm going to put it at the tail end of the B tier behind the Koopa Dasher. The B Dasher is next, and honestly, this is a really iconic cart. It's appeared in basically every single Mario Kart game since Mario Kart DS, besides Mario Kart Wii. It appeared in Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8. I think it was probably in Tour as well, and it is also appearing in Mario Kart World. So this one is definitely an iconic one. This is probably one of my favorite looking carts in the entire Mario Kart series. Honestly, this is probably amongst the best looking. Like, I think that while the Bowser cart, or the Koopa King, that's what it's called, in Mario Kart Double Dash is pretty good looking, I think that this is honestly a step above that. I'm gonna put the B Dasher in the S tier above the Koopa King because, like I said, this is one of the best looking carts in my opinion, and I think Nintendo agrees with me as well because they seem to love this cart. They keep bringing it back in every single Mario Kart game. The Poltergust 4000 is the next one, and that's Luigi's cart in Mario Kart DS, and I really like the Luigi's Mansion Easter egg here where it's based on the Poltergust from Luigi's Mansion, obviously. So because of the reference points there, it definitely holds an edge over some of the other cards. But design-wise, it looks kind of goofy because it is a vacuum cleaner, which is a pretty funny idea. So because of that, I do like it like I do with the Yoshi one, where it's kind of a goofy idea because it is a vacuum cleaner. Honestly, I think I might prefer this over the Yoshi one because while Yoshi is an iconic Mario Kart character, the Luigi's Mansion reference I think definitely gives it an edge over Yoshi's cart from Mario Kart Double Dash. So I think I'm going to put it between Wario's cart from Double Dash and Yoshi's cart from Mario Kart Double Dash. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not saying their exact names, I'm not going to remember the names of all these from the top of my head. I have the Mario Wiki on my other monitor so I could call them their proper names when I'm talking about them, but after I'm done with a specific game, I'm just going to call it character's cart from what game. So if you're confused as to why I'm not calling, say, Wario's car, it's because of that reason. Next up is the Royale, which, you know, like Fortnite Battle Royale. And this is obviously Peach's car, and it looks pretty nice. I think there's another kart later on that kind of looks similar to it from Mario Kart Wii. But this is kind of like an old-fashioned kind of royal aesthetic looking car, and I think it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna say it's along the same lines as Peach's car from Mario Kart Double Dash. Honestly, I think I might prefer this one a little bit more because it is an actual car and not just some weird amalgamation that has to hold two characters. This is designed for one character specifically. I love Double Dash's gimmick of the 2 players, but it definitely limited to how creative karts can be because they had to hold 2 characters, whereas with normal Mario Kart games, you only had to hold 1, so you can be more creative with how karts look. Because of that, I think that the Royale has the edge over Peach's car from Mario Kart Double Dash, so I'm going to put it in the top of the B tier in front of that. The Egg 1 is next, and yes, that's the name of that one. I thought it was a mistake too. Nope, it's called the Egg 1. I know, crazy name. And this, as the name implies, is basically just an egg. It's kind of similar to Koopa Troopa's car from Mario Kart Double Dash, where it's the Yoshi egg, where instead of a Koopa shell, it's a Yoshi egg. And honestly, I think I prefer the Koopa Troopa car over it. So I think that this belongs in the B tier behind the Koopa Troopa cart in Mario Kart Double Dash and the standard cart of Mario Kart DS. The Mushmallow is next, which is Toad's car. And this is kind of similar to Yoshi's cart in the game, where it's based on a mushroom. And honestly, I don't really like how this looks. I think that this is kind of another instance where it just looks kind of weird, and I don't really like how it looks. So it's kind of like the baby cart from Mario Kart Double Dash, but I think I prefer this one a bit more. I'm going to put it in the C tier behind the pipe frame carts from the first 3 games, because I think that those look better, and I don't think that this is nearly as bad as the baby stroller from Mario Kart Double Dash. So I think that the bottom of the C tier is a good place for it. The Rambi Rider is next, and honestly, it's really nice to see a kart based off of Rambi from Donkey Kong Country. I think that the referenceability of this one is pretty great, and I like the design of this. Having a rhino head at the front of the car makes it look pretty cool. It also feels a little bit goofy like how the Yoshi kart from Double Dash does, but I think that this is a bit more cool rather than goofy. I think that this belongs in the A tier between Wario's kart from Double Dash and Luigi's kart from Mario Kart DS. The Brute is next, and this is similar to Wario's car from Mario Kart Double Dash, where it's kind of that sports car, but I think that I prefer the colors of Double Dash's a bit more. I think that purple fits Wario a bit better, but this is along the same lines. I think that between Rambi and Wario's car in the A tier is a good place for it. Although I think I might prefer Rambi a bit more because it does have that reference, and I think I just prefer how that car looks a bit more. So, you know what? I'm going to put it in the A tier between Rambi and the Poltergust. The Tyrant is next, and that is Bowser's car, so the final kart from Mario Kart DS. And it's a Bowser Claw, which is fine, I guess. It doesn't look too great. I think I prefer how the standard kart of this game looks a bit more. And honestly, I might prefer the pipe frame over this because it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look great either. Again, it is just a Bowser Claw, which is a pretty fun concept for a car. It just doesn't look super great. I do prefer it over the Mushmallow though, so I'm going to put it in the C tier between the pipe frame and the Mushmallow. And obviously, we're going to start off with the standard kart. I think that the standard kart looks pretty good here. I said it in my Mario Kart render video, where I think that this is one of my favorite standard karts in the Mario Kart series. And that's just kind of looking off of like the traditional standard kart and not, you know, all the unlocked karts from the start. And I think my point stands here. This one has a pretty great design. I really like how it looks. It's definitely one of the more creative ones where it actually looks like a go-kart. I mean, the other ones do as well, but this one really leans into that and just full on looks like a go-kart, and I really love it. I also have nostalgia for this one because Mario Kart Wii was one of my first games ever. So because of that, I think that this belongs in the B tier. I think this might be a hot take. I'm gonna put it at the top of the B tier in front of Peach's car from Mario Kart DS. I just think that this kart looks really clean. If you disagree with me, let me know. Obviously, because this is Mario Kart Wii, we also have to talk about the bikes, which is why there's so many different karts from this game. So the standard bike, I think for the first bike in the series, this one looks pretty nice. I think that this is another B tier. Where in the B tier is kind of hard to say. I think I'm going to put this between the 2 Peach's karts in the B tier. I think I might prefer how Peach's kart in DS looks a little bit more though, but this is a pretty good standard bike, so I'm going to put it there. We're back to the baby strollers with the booster seat, and honestly, this one was done pretty well. I really like how this one looks. It definitely looks a lot better than its Double Dash counterpart, but it is just a baby stroller, and it's a pretty funny concept, so I think it belongs in the B tier. I think I'm going to put it behind the Donkey Kong barrel and Koopa Troopa's car from Double Dash. I don't know, it's like one of those weird carts where it's like, it's really hard to place this one because it's just like, does it look that good? Does it not look that good? I don't know. I think it's kind of in the middle of the road, so I'm going to put it in the middle of the road. So yeah, the beach here I think is a good place for it. Next up is the bullet bike, and honestly, I really like how this one looks. You know, the bullet bill just looks pretty badass. I think I might prefer this over Rambi. I use this when I'm using dry bones in Mario Kart Wii. I think that dry bones and this look really great together. So I have a bit of bias for this one as well because this is kind of my go-to kart in Mario Kart Wii. Because, you know, I'm a dry bones main. I could be boring and use Funky Kong and use a cart that comes up later on. And honestly, I think I might prefer it over Wario's cart from Double Dash. So you know what? I think I'm going to put this at the top of the A tier. This is a great designed cart. The Mini Beast is next, and this is kind of like a hot rod looking cart. So it looks pretty cool. This one I'm kind of on the fence about. I think it deserves to be in the A tier though. I think I'm going to put it in the A tier between Rambi and Wario's Mario Kart DS cart. I think that this has a pretty clean design, so enough said. Next is the Bit Bike, and this one's fine, I guess. I think I prefer the standard bike a bit more. This one looks pretty decent though, but it's kind of along the same lines as the stroller where it just looks fine and nothing else. I definitely prefer it over the stroller from Mario Kart Wii though. I'm going to put it between Mario's cart from Double Dash and Donkey Kong's cart between Double Dash. Honestly, when it comes to a lot of these middle of the pack carts, the ranking of this is a little bit up in the air. Honestly, you could probably change around a couple of these and I would be fine with it. Next up is the classic Dragster, which is another one of those old-timey carts. And honestly, I think I prefer how this looks over Peach's. This was the cart I was alluding to earlier in the video where I said that there's another cart that looks kind of similar to that Peach cart from Mario Kart DS. And this is the one. I think I prefer this one over it. I'm going to put it in the B tier behind the standard cart of Mario Kart Wii and Peach's cart from Mario Kart DS. The Mach Bike follows. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite looking bikes in the Mario Kart series. This one looks really great. This was my go-to kart when I was using a medium-sized character back in Mario Kart Wii. And yeah, I have a little bit of nostalgia for this one. I think I prefer the Bullet Bike a little bit more than this, but I think that the Mach Bike goes right behind it in the A tier. The Wild Wing is next, and honestly, this is probably one of the just best looking karts in the entire series. Like, I don't know why, but back in the day, I kind of looked at it similar to Lightning McQueen, and I was a huge fan of the Cars movie. I used this one a lot as well. I think I prefer the Mach Bike a little bit more than this, but you know what? I'm going to put this in the A tier behind the Mach Bike and right in front of Wario's cart. The Sugar Scoot is the next cart, and honestly, this one looks fine. I really don't know where I want to place this one. I think it's better than the Koopa and Yoshi egg cars, and I think I might prefer it over the stroller, but I don't think that it beats out the DK Barrel. The DK Barrel is pretty funny. I don't know what it is, but I do like that cart better than this. So the Sugar Scoot is going to go in front of the DK Barrel and the booster seat from Mario Kart Wii. We're almost done with Mario Kart Wii. We only have 4 more to go. We have the Off-Roader, which is one of the large carts. And this one looks pretty nice. I like how it looks. It has a pretty unique design, where it's obviously designed to look like it would be able to drive off-road, and I think it does a pretty good job at that. I think I still prefer the Wild Wing over this one, but I think I prefer this over Wario's cart from Double Dash. So you know what? The A tier between the Wild Wing and Wario's cart from Double Dash is a pretty good place for it. The next bike is the fan favorite bike from Mario Kart Wii because it's the Flame Rider. You know, everyone likes their Funky Kong and the Flame Rider, and honestly, you know what? This isn't a bad designed bike. This one is designed off of Bowser's face, which is kind of a funny idea, where the wheel comes out of Bowser's mouth, so it kind of looks a little bit goofy, but I think that's the charm of this one. Plus, obviously, this one is a fan favorite because it has some of the best stats in the entire game, yada yada, but I'm going purely based off of aesthetic here. I like how this one looks though. The colors are pretty nice because obviously it is based off of Bowser. I think I do prefer Rambi over this though. I think that Rambi just looks a bit better. So you know what? I'm going to put it between Rambi and the Mini Beast in the A tier. The second to last Mario Kart Wii kart is the Flame Flyer, which is kind of the Flame Runner equivalent for cars. And this one's another one of those hot rod looking ones, just like the Mini Beast is. Honestly, I think that this one looks a bit better. It's the more mature version, if you want to say, of the Mini Beast, where it's for the big characters rather than the small characters. So you know what? I think that behind the Flame Runner and in front of the Mini Beast is a good place for it in the A tier. And for the final Mario Kart Wii bike, we have the Wario bike. And this one's pretty iconic because it's obviously in Wario's moveset in Super Smash Bros. So it's got a few points there for that. Honestly, I think it just looks pretty good. I think I prefer some of the other carts in this game above it, but I think I'm going to put it in the A tier above the Mini Beast and right behind the Flame Flyer. I think that's a good place for it. Alright, now we're back to more simple carts with Mario Kart 7 as going forward, we just had the standard kart and bike and whatever else from each of the games. So going with the Mario Kart 7 standard kart, I think that this is a pretty fine one. I think I prefer it over Mario Kart DS's standard kart. It's not along the same lines as Mario Kart Wii's. So you know what? I think that in the B tier, between the egg and in front of Mario Kart DS's standard kart is a good place for it. Mario Kart 8 standard kart is a pretty good one. I think it's along the same lines as the standard kart of Mario Kart Wii, but I don't think I like it as much as that. Like, it looks pretty good, but I think that the go-kart aesthetic of Mario Kart Wii's standard kart is a bit better. I think that this looks better than Mario Kart Double Dashes though, so honestly I'm going to put it in front of the standard bike from Mario Kart Wii and Peach's kart from Mario Kart DS. I think that's a good place for it. Again, I do want to just keep in mind that when it comes to this B tier, it's kind of a gray area on the ranking. It's kind of just day to day how I feel about each of these karts, so don't take these as definitive rankings here. The standard bike from Mario Kart 8 is next, and along the same lines as the standard kart from Mario Kart 8, I think I prefer how this one looks over how the Mario Kart Wii one looks, so I'm going to put it behind 8's standard kart and in front of Wii's standard bike. This game's also special because it also has ATVs, and ATVs look fine. I don't really use ATVs much, but they look kind of cool. I don't think they look as good as the bikes or the karts though. So, you know what? I'm going to put it behind Mario Kart Wii standard bike and Peach's car from Mario Kart Double Dash. Mario Kart Tour is next, and this one is another case where the basic kart is the pipe frame, and it looks pretty good here. The pipe frame is classic. I don't think that it holds up super well though. Like, it looks fine, it looks pretty cool, but it's not great. I think that I prefer how the pipe frame here looks over how it does in the first 3 Mario Kart games. Honestly, I think I prefer how this looks over the standard kart of DS and 7, so I'm going to put it ahead of Mario Kart 7's standard kart in the B tier. Now we're on to the last of the Mario Kart standard karts with Mario Kart Worlds, and starting with the standard kart and not the bike, this one looks pretty good. I think I might honestly, this might be recency bias, I think I might prefer this over Mario Kart Wii's. I know, pretty crazy. And I don't know, I think that Mario Kart World's art style and like the art design and the character design and the kart design, it just looks really good. I'm gonna put this in the B tier above Mario Kart Wii's standard kart. It's crazy, I didn't think there was going to be a standard kart that I'd prefer over Mario Kart Wii's, but here we are, Mario Kart World topped it. And for the last one, we got the standard bike from Mario Kart World. And yeah, when it comes to the standard bikes, like, you know, just the basic ones, I think that this one looks the best, but it's not on par with the kart. I think that the kart of Mario Kart World looks a bit better, but I think I prefer how this one looks over the standard bike of Mario Kart 8. So I think that between the standard kart of 8 and the standard bike of 8 is a good place for the standard bike of Mario Kart World. And with that, that's all 41 standard karts in the entire Mario Kart series ranked from worst to best. Honestly, when it comes to this ranking, it was another silly one, so don't take my ranking as definitive. I mean, you definitely should. This right here is the definitive list on how great each of the karts look. But yeah, especially with the B tier, don't take that list as, you know, my full-on ranking. It really is just a day-to-day basis. I've said this a couple times, but I want to make it clear that these karts in the middle, they're all pretty decent. They're not super special where they're like definitively ranked, say, like the S tier and the A tier. And they're not super bad or just kind of mediocre, like, say, the C and D tier. So with that said, if you want to see another video by me, there's a video on screen now where I give the Nintendo Switch one last look before we get into Nintendo Switch 2, and I think you'll enjoy that one. With that being said, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Cristendo, signing off, and as always, goodbye, Nub Nation.